It was the first Tuesday of October when Maple Hollow woke up to drizzle tapping on the windows and a whisper of unease they couldn't quite name. At 7:45 a.m., when Emily Porter didn't show up for first period, nobody panicked right away. She was known to arrive early, propping her classroom door open so students would come in before the bell. But that morning, the door remained shut. By 8:30, the principal, Mary Whitcomb, called her cell phone. No answer. When her mother, Janice Porter, tried to reach her around noon, she felt something was wrong in her bones. Emily always called her on her lunch break. By the time the school day ended, people were already driving by Emily's white clapboard house to see if her car was in the drive. It was a blue Civic parked neatly as ever, no sign of struggle. Deputy Brian Keller was dispatched for a welfare check. He knocked, waited, knocked again. He called out her name. Nothing. He tried the doorknob, unlocked. Inside, the house was so still it made his scalp prickle. A lamp glowed beside the couch. A half-finished mug of tea sat on the coffee table, gone cold. Her purse was on the armrest, phone still inside. It was as though Emily had simply stood up and vanished. Emily Porter was 34 years old, a teacher, daughter, friend, and, though few knew it, a woman carrying secrets she was too tender-hearted to share. She'd grown up in Maple Hollow. Her father had died young, and her mother raised her alone, working nights at the textile plant. Emily had been a quiet, bright child. Her dream was to teach English and help kids who felt as lonely as she sometimes did. And she had. Her students adored her. Parents respected her. Colleagues describe her as gentle, principled, maybe a bit shy. No one could imagine why anyone would want to harm her. In the first days after she vanished, Sheriff Dan Harlow told reporters it was likely a random act. "We have no evidence indicating she left voluntarily," he said, standing stiffly under a gray sky. "All possibilities are being investigated." Rumors bloomed like mold. One neighbor said she'd seen a dark sedan parked near Emily's driveway late that Monday night. Another claimed he heard Ray's voices. But as investigators pulled phone records, they found something unexpected. There were hundreds of messages, some affectionate, some anguished, exchanged between Emily and Mark Ellison, a married member of the school board. Father, too. Mark had been one of the last people to text Emily the night she disappeared. He became the prime suspect almost immediately. Mark swore the relationship had ended weeks before. He said he'd been home watching television with his wife, Janine. But when detectives reviewed security footage at the gas station, he claimed to have visited that night. His truck was nowhere to be seen. The community recoiled. But there was one person who defended Mark, even as the town turned on him. Ashley Rivera, Emily's closest friend and fellow teacher. Ashley was everywhere in those days, organizing search parties, consoling students, handing out flyers with Emily's smiling face. In retrospect, no one could say why it didn't seem odd at the time, how tirelessly she threw herself into the search. Volunteers combed the riverbanks. Drones swept over cornfields. Candlelight vigils were held on the school steps. But days passed without answers. Sheriff Harlow felt pressure mounting. Reporters called every hour. Emily's mother begged for any word of her daughter. Then, 9 days after Emily vanished, cadaver dogs searched a patch of woods along Route 12. Under a stand of cedar trees, one dog stopped, whining. The earth was softer there, recently disturbed. Deputies dug down. A corner of fabric emerged, faded roses on white. Emily's body was wrapped in her grandmother's quilt. Her wrists were bound with packing twine. She'd died from a blow to the head. Shock tore through Maple Hollow like a storm. Mark Ellison was arrested the next morning. For 2 days, everyone believed the case was closed. The grieving husband, the secret affair, the lies, but something didn't fit. Forensics found Mark's fingerprints on Emily's back door, but none inside. His phone had been pinging cell towers 20 miles away for most of the night. Then detectives reviewed Ashley's phone data. Her number had pinged near Emily's house between midnight and 2 a.m., the precise window when the medical examiner estimated Emily died. Investigators confronted her gently at first, hoping there was some explanation. Ashley tried to act surprised, but her composure cracked. Her hands trembled as she reached for her water bottle. Detective Keller leaned in, voice low. "Ashley, we know you were there." She broke. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed. Ashley had loved Mark Ellison for years, a fact she'd buried so deeply she barely admitted it to herself. When Emily finally told her about the affair, Ashley was furious. But Emily swore she intended to end it for good. Ashley said she believed her, until she saw them together in Mark's truck one afternoon. On the night of October 3rd, Ashley drove to Emily's house to confront her. She claimed she only wanted to scare her into staying away from Mark. They argued. Emily turned her back on her in frustration. Ashley shoved her. Emily fell against the coffee table, struck her head, and collapsed. Ashley stood over her, heart hammering, unable to process what she'd done. Then she wrapped Emily in the quilt they'd shared on so many movie nights and carried her to the trunk of her car. Ashley Rivera pled guilty to second-degree murder. In court, her face was gaunt, her eyes hollow. "I didn't mean to," she whispered, voice hoarse. "I loved her too." Emily's mother sat motionless as the sentence was read. The town of Maple Hollow never fully recovered. Emily's classroom became a memorial, covered in flowers, poems, and photographs. Her desk was left untouched for months. Neighbors locked their doors at night now. Teachers looked at each other with new wariness. People still talk about how, in the end, it wasn't a stranger in a dark sedan who stole Emily's life, but someone she trusted completely. Years later, a plaque still hangs outside room 212, in loving memory of Emily Porter, a teacher, a friend, a light in the darkness. Most people pass it quickly, eyes downcast, still haunted by how little they really knew her and how little they knew the people standing beside them all along.